Oh, hello. Welcome once again to Stuff and Things, where I like to talk about stuff and occasionally even things. I'm your good friend Bradley, and today is a Sunday Stuff and Things. And on this Sunday Stuff and Things, it's kind of cold and windy. It's July 19th as I'm recording this. And it has been, well, I was about to say very hot, but hot for the Pacific Northwest. It got up into the 80s. It got up into the mid 80s, which is hot in the Pacific Northwest. People were walking around with fans, panting and sweating and looking miserable for a few days. But that's about as hot as it got. And then yesterday it actually started to rain, and it's about, I don't know, 56 degrees right now, and kind of cold and windy and overcast. So an interesting change of weather here as I record this Sunday Stuff and Things. But besides the weather, we have other things to talk about, including upcoming videos, things that you can look forward to on Stuff and Things YouTube and Stuff and Things Patreon. I saw a dog that seemed as though it was about to approach, but now I just thought better of it. We're going to talk about meeting a fan in the real world, which was an interesting, fun experience. We'll talk about replacing the hat. I'm wearing the hat right now, but I have found what might be a replacement, and I know some of you may be interested in that because so many of you have asked me about this hat and where I got the hat. I guess you can be the judge as to whether or not the replacement I got is a worthy successor to the hat. And then we're going to talk about the curse of Friday. I had another horrible Friday at work. I don't know what's going on with Fridays lately. Then we'll get into your questions, comments, and feedback in hashtag askstuffandthings. And then, of course, we will have the Patreon shout-outs and update section of the show. So let's get into it. All right, gang, what can you look forward to on Stuff and Things YouTube and Stuff and Things Patreon? Well, first of all, this coming week on Stuff and Things Patreon, exclusive to Patreon because it's pipe-related, will be the first impressions video of GLP's Bankside. A very interesting blend. I have coined a new term for this blend. It is a Vapor Kia. So Virginia, Perique, Kentucky, dark-fired Kentucky, and Latakia. One of the things I was talking about, I just recorded the review of this as well, but it's first impressions video this coming week, is whether or not you can still consider this a vapor when it has Kentucky and Latakia added. Does that fundamentally change what this blend is? Interesting stuff. We'll be getting into that once we do the first impressions and the full review. The week after that, on Stuff and Things YouTube and on Patreon, we will have my CRAVAR Rana 15 camera bag review. This was a really interesting bag sent to me by CRAVAR. It is a leather camera bag / laptop bag. Interesting stuff. Check that out on both YouTube and Patreon. And then the week after that, we will have the Bankside full review exclusive to Patreon. Lots of other good stuff, especially photography related, coming up on YouTube and Patreon as well. So please stay tuned. So quickly, I was out on, I think it was Thursday after work. And it was still really hot on Thursday, and I got off work and was feeling all sweaty and gross and everything. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go out and try to take some pictures, which I try to do all the time. And I was wandering around downtown, and as I was walking by, there's an area where there's a bunch of street parking on the road, and I was walking on the sidewalk. I heard just this car honking, and it was right in front of me, but I usually ignore people honking. If somebody's honking or making a noise, I usually will studiously not look at that noise. That's just the way I am. So somebody was honking, I didn't look. And then suddenly the door of a car right near me flies open, and a large man jumped out and started like barreling towards me. And he's like, Stuff and Things, Bradley. Or I think he said like pipes and things or stuff and things. I can't remember what. And he's like, oh my God, oh my God. And it was this very friendly viewer named Eric who seemed very pleased to see me on the streets of Bellingham. So I was a little taken aback. I never expect anyone to recognize me. It happens occasionally, but you know, I'm not famous by any means. But he came up, I was like, oh, hello, hi. And I think I put my hand out and he went in and hugged me. He was very friendly. He was very effusive, talking a mile a minute about how much he enjoyed my videos. So it was nice. He was very nice and friendly. It was funny though, because I think it was his wife was sitting in the car and she was just kind of like hiding her face. She seemed rather embarrassed about the whole exchange, but we got a picture together. I'm sure I looked like a zombie because I was all sweaty and gross still after work. I try to clean myself up a little bit, but I don't take a shower until the evening because I don't want to take a shower. I don't take a shower in the morning. I take a shower before bed, so I'm clean for getting into my bed because I don't want to be dirty when I get in bed because that's gross. I don't understand people who take a shower in the morning and then they go all day and then they get in their bed with their disgusting bodies. Anyway, I take a shower at night. So I was dirty. I probably look gross, but I'm glad that I was able to meet you, Eric. And thank you so much for being nice. And it's always fun to meet people. There have been a couple times where, someone will just be like, hey, Bradley, STUFFandTHINGS, great. And I'll go, hey. And that's about it. And that's fine too. That's a good experience or a good interaction. But it's nice too to shake hands, maybe get a picture. I don't mind. Depends on what I'm doing. Depends on if I'm with somebody. I'm usually not with somebody. So if you do see me, it's okay to approach. Try not to be a maniac. Don't be creepy, but be friendly and I'll be friendly back. So nice to meet you, Eric, and nice to wave to your wife. And I hope she wasn't that embarrassed. The hat. My beloved hat. The hat I have owned for over 25 years. The hat that kind of defines me as a person. Not really, but if people think of me, they probably think of me in this hat because I've had it so long and I've worn it so much. I mentioned last week how it's starting to wear through in the bill. The wool is finally gotten just so old and so frayed that you can start seeing the shiny, you've started to be able to see the shiny material of the stiffener for the bill underneath. So I've been looking for a replacement for the hat, and I found one. I don't know quite how I feel about it yet. It is this. It is produced by Walls Cycling. They're a company that produces like cycling gear for riding bicycles. So they do a lot of the traditional bicycle hats that are made of, I don't know, cotton, nylon, whatever, where the brim snaps up so you can wear it with your helmet and then snap the brim up. This is their more like streetwear kind of casual style. It is made of wool. This is called their Velo/City hat, so Velocity hat. But this is their wool flannel. So it's wool, but it then also has some kind of like moisture wicking lining in here. And I'm actually not totally sure how I feel about that because this hat has maintained its lack of offensive odor for 25 years, even though it hasn't been washed because it's fully wool. There's nothing in this that isn't wool as far as anything that touches the head. So I'm not sure how this will hold up as far as that goes. It's not quite the exact same style. You can see how there are these seams on either side. This one has more of kind of a bulbous, round, sort of shapeless look to it, which I really like. But I will show you now the hat, the new hat. My hair is crazy. This is the new hat. It's close, but because of these seams, it has kind of more of like a pinheady sort of look to it. Like my head looks like it narrows at the top, which, I mean, I guess maybe it technically does. I don't know. But the brim is still, or the bill is still nice and short, which I like. It is wool, which I also like. It's just a black kind of nondescript hat, but it's not a baseball cap. And we'll see. I haven't totally decided. I'm trying to look in the screen right now. Yeah, there's a little bit, it almost has kind of a look of what were those called? The Civil War era kepi? Is that what they're called? The Civil War kind of slouch hats, but those were like more square at the top and like had an obvious kind of shelf to them here. This one sort of creates that look, even though it doesn't actually have that feature. So it's not just the like simple rounded front that this hat has. You can see where there's these darts in the side of this hat to create the shape, but it doesn't have the seam that goes all the way back. It just has the band here and then these darts. And it's pretty shapeless. And there's no real elastic to this either. It just fits. It's the size. I don't even know what size this was. Oh wow, the tag is so worn, there's just nothing on it anymore. I'm assuming it was a large or an extra large. I have a big head. But yeah, this hat is pretty much gone. You can see right here, if we can get close enough to the camera. I don't know if it can focus that close. But there's underbill showing through here. And you can actually like see through this hat now. Again, the camera probably won't pick that up, but the wool has just gotten so thin. So we're gonna try this. If I like it enough, I will do a full review. So any of you who have been asking for a hat similar in style to this, you'll be able to watch the review of this if I end up doing it, if I end up liking it. But for now, it is the Walls Velocity or Velocity hat in wool flannel. They also do a merino wool version of these hats, but they look a little different. I'm not sure if I should have gotten that or if I should have gotten this. This is the one that looked to me the most like my old faithful hat and the one I was trying to replace. So, Walls Velocity wool flannel hat. We shall see if I grow to love this as much as my old hat. Seems almost impossible, but we'll see. Fridays. Today is not Friday, today is Saturday. But in construction especially, which is what I do, Fridays are sacred because you are about to go into your weekend. And typically on a Friday, you are hoping that you have a nice, not easy, because nothing is ever easy when you're doing construction, but a nice, smooth, no-nonsense kind of day that you can just kind of ramp up easily into your weekend. And maybe because of that, because that is where your mind is, maybe things are more likely to go wrong on Fridays because everyone is just hoping to get to the weekend. But it seems like it happens a lot. So last week I told you about the horrible day I had where we were waiting for the inspector, our mud was blowing up because it got so hot in the truck and we were waiting there forever with the pump truck and everything just was horrible. This Friday, we had a really big slab poured, well not really big, but a fairly large slab scheduled for a house slab and then the garage all at one time. It was a slab on grade construction. And as I mentioned, this week it had been really, really hot, but we were kind of glad because on Friday it was only supposed to be about 71 degrees at the highest and then overcast, but then eventually partly sunny. So it was the perfect condition to pour a slab because we would be pouring it when it was overcast. We would have time to lay it down. And then as the sun eventually was supposed to come out in the afternoon, that would help us finish the slab and get done. So I assumed we were going to start pouring the slab at 7:30. We showed up around 6:30, poured the slab at 7:30. I thought we'd be done by maybe 2 o'clock at the latest. There wasn't a hint of rain in the forecast. None whatsoever. It was supposed to be sun breaks later in the afternoon. So we show up, the pump comes, the concrete comes, everyone's on time. We start pouring. The pump driver is super helpful. It's going really smoothly. We get both trucks. It was over a 20-yard pour. I think we poured 21 yards or so. Got both trucks completely poured out in just a little over an hour. We had the whole slab poured out and laid down in just like an hour and 15 minutes or something. Amazing. Perfect. Everything's going great. Then it starts to rain. Out of nowhere. I mean, it was coming out of the sky, but it wasn't supposed to happen. There was not supposed to be any rain. And it just started raining. It wasn't raining hard, but it was this fitful kind of drizzle that we get in the Pacific Northwest a lot. And it just kept going and going and going. It would kind of intermittently stop, but then it would start again. So you get to the point where like, okay, we can start trying to finish, and then it would get rain on it. And so what happens with that when you have a slab that is, I mean, we started pouring at 7:30. I thought we would be done by about 2, but everything underneath starts to dry and harden. But as the rain keeps hitting the surface, it keeps the top layer wet and sloppy. So you can't finish it because with a hard trowel surface for a garage and a house slab, you need a hard trowel. It needs to be tight. It's not like a broom finish or anything. It needs to be very tight. By the time you're done, you should be able to walk around on it without scarring the slab. And so you can't finish it because it just keeps getting wet. But we also, you know, we didn't have any plastic on site or anything because there was no rain in the forecast. We weren't expecting any rain. And you also can't keep it covered all the time because you have to go over it. If you have it covered the entire time it's raining, then you'll never be able to finish it later because it'll harden too much. So we just had to keep going over it. And it made the day almost 12 hours long. We started getting all these areas where the surface was coming up because the surface was wetter than the concrete underneath. It was just the Sisyphean task of going over it. You're like, okay, we're almost there, then it would rain. Then going over it again, okay, we're almost there, then it would rain. Okay, we're almost done. And then it was just, we're pushing that boulder up the hill over and over and over. I could see all my plans that I had made for that Friday afternoon disappearing, just slowly draining away. We finally got done close to 5 o'clock, and it was obnoxious. I hate the fact that when you look at a weather app and it'll say, you know, when I looked in the morning, it's like, oh, 0% chance of rain, partly cloudy skies, sun breaks in the afternoon. And it's not until it actually starts raining, then you'll look at the forecast and it'll say scattered showers. Like, well, where was that 2 hours ago? Where was that 3 hours ago? And there's no, obviously the weather app is not going to say, oh, sorry about that. I'm sorry I misled you. Now it's actually raining. But it's just funny to me that, you know, this is still the state of our weather forecasts in the year 2025 when we're talking about, you know, these crazy weather models and trying to extrapolate. Obviously, I know climate is different than weather and everything, but it just seems like we don't know anything. And I'm very much aware of weather all the time because it fundamentally affects my day-to-day life as far as what I'm doing with my work. So I realize and I notice when the forecasts are incorrect, and they are often incorrect. And it led to a horrible Friday yet again. All right, gang, but now it is time for hashtag #AskStuffandThings. Remember, if you have a question for me and you would like it answered on the Sunday Stuff and Things, you can tweet at SAT Bradley with the hashtag #AskStuffandThings, but you probably shouldn't because nobody ever does. If you are a Patreon supporter, you can write to me via Patreon and go right to the front of the line. You can hit that super thanks button under this video and go right to the front of the line, or you can leave me questions, comments, and feedback in the comment section of my YouTube videos. And we have a lot. We have a lot of feedback from last week's Sunday Stuff and Things, and then we have some good feedback from the video I posted on Wednesday about how I had purchased a Leica M4. First of all, from last week's Sunday Stuff and Things, we have feedback from @HexeterBonsai, who says, I can sympathize about the allergies. I was talking about a horrible allergy day I'd had. I go through that every spring myself. I use a combination of Allegra D and Flonase, which seems to keep me somewhat sane amidst the sneezing and the snot. Oh, good grief, the snot. I buy 24 packs of Kleenex in bulk every 6 months. Every 6 months. I don't know what I said there. Did I say 6th month? 1 box of Kleenex every week on average. I use toilet paper when I blow my nose. I don't like how soft Kleenex is. Maybe that's weird. And my nose does get all raw and horrible. But for some reason, I like the grit of the toilet paper when I'm trying to clean my nose. At Peter Radiant Pipes 2800 says, Vaperky, Vaperky or Vaperky with a hint of Latakia is my current favorite blends. MacBaron, Latakia, Rolla, and Stockton, Rattray's HU blends, Bankside is a good blend, just a hint of Latakia. Now remember, you can't say Vaperky with a hint of Latakia now, you have to say Vaperkia. So I have decreed. Thanks for coming in with that feedback. And now we have @Gordy/FJ1JY, who says, what the heck was happening on Friday? Me and my coworker had some miscommunication while chipping logs and brush. He blew his top and we both started swearing at each other. Oh yeah, and a supervisor got fired that morning. Friday was definitely a bad day. It just seemed like everyone was off. Yeah, I don't know what was going on. Be careful about getting in an argument with your coworker when you're working around a wood chipper. I think we've all seen Fargo. We know how that could go. We have @MichaelCase8574 who says, what do you use to squeegee your film to dry it after development? That can be a point of danger. So I was talking about the intermittent scratches that I was getting on some of my negatives. I use my fingers. I don't use an actual squeegee because I have heard that those can, you know, you can get a little grit or something on the squeegee, and as you're for those of you who don't know, when you're developing film, you take out the entire roll, you hang it up to dry, and I'll put a wetting solution, what do they call it? Hypoclear, I think. I can't remember what Kodak calls their wetting solution, but that helps it dry without leaving streaks of water, like water stains on your film. And then some people will like squeegee the film off to help it. I just take my fingers and I take the film and I go like that. It doesn't scratch it. And I've never had any issues with scratched film before from my actual, development and drying. We have at Brian Dawkins 984 who says, how bad are the scratches? Run some skin oil over the negatives with your fingers. Skin oil would be from your forehead, probably from my nose. And if the scratches are fine enough, the scratches will be filled and invisible. I had a Leica M3, and yes, it was unique and addictive. It had personality, to be sure. I had it repaired and CLA'd by Leica, and it was magnificent, despite being 35 years old. I should have my Leica out while we're talking about cameras and such. Beautiful. Leica M4. I will hang it about my neck. There we go. Look at this thing. God, I love it. Okay. Yeah, I've heard about that. If you're doing enlargements from a negative, you can get a little skin oil and rub it on if you have light scratches over the non-emulsion side of the film. But, as I was mentioning, since I'm mostly just scanning at the moment, it's not a huge deal because I can easily clean the scratches when I'm doing post-processing on the scans. But yeah, if I am ever doing enlargements, maybe I'll try that little trick. We'll see. At Michael Adams says, are the scratches in the same place on the developed film or in different places? If it's the same place and a similar configuration, it is likely the camera. One of your viewers suggested the squeegee. It's a very real possibility. I'd send a test roll to an outside lab and see what comes back, scratches, and it's the camera. Yeah, it's definitely not the processing. I'm pretty sure it's not the processing because I've never had this issue before and I've always processed the same. Again, I don't use a squeegee. And yes, the scratches were kind of usually in the same place. It's really weird. The intermittent nature of the scratches is strange. I've had another roll of film from this camera and it's been fine. So I don't know. I'm not sure. We'll see. I'm going to keep my eye on it. If it happens again, I'll let you guys know and we'll see if we can troubleshoot the problem. For now, maybe it seems like it's fine. We'll see. Andrew Vidal says, not a camera person, but is it possible the scratches are coming from the film canister? Maybe that's why some rolls are coming clear and others aren't. Maybe something wrong with the feed out ramp on the canister itself. For giggles, I'd try another brand of film since you've already cleaned the camera and can eliminate that as the cause. Yeah, I've heard that as well. You can get some grit in, like if you open up a thing of film, there is this foam right there that's like the light trap. And if you get some grit in there as the film is coming out of the canister, it could scratch. That's not what's happening with this for sure. It's been, like I said, kind of in the same spots in certain frames and from different rolls. So yeah, like I said, we'll see what happens. It may be fine. We'll see. At Drake Summer 934 says, that hat is classic and part of the show. Yes, we will have to have some sort of funeral for this hat at some point, and maybe I'll make a plaque and mount it to my wall. Now I have some feedback from the I bought a Leica M4 video that I posted last week. You should definitely check that out. At Michael Case 8574 says, now the hard part, saving for Leica lenses, LOL, happy shooting. And yeah, I got a Voigtlander or Voigtlander lens on this camera. It's a 35mm lens. It is beautiful. It's f2. It's made of brass with enamel over top. It's a very nice lens. It is like a 1/10 of some Leica lenses in price, and I got this used as well, so it was even cheaper. Leica lenses are, in my mind right now, so far out of the realm of possibility that I can't even imagine ever purchasing a Leica lens, but we'll see. Never say never. At Aether CS2 says, congratulations. My first Leica was also an M4 and I also got mine for a decent price on eBay. Even after buying and selling several M lenses like the M4II, M4P, and the M6, several M Leicas, like the M4II, M4P, and M6, I haven't felt anything smoother than my first M4. The advanced lever was buttery smooth. I've yet to get another silver chrome M4, but I recently picked up a Midland black chrome M4 and sent it off to YYE Camera for service. Turns out it was ready today, so I'm glad I can use it again. Highly recommend YYE. I've only sent my cameras to him, or my M cameras to him. And yeah, I don't have any other Leica M cameras to compare this to, but the film advance on this is extremely smooth, extremely precise, extremely satisfying. This whole thing just feels, the quality oozes out of every surface of this camera. It's a beautiful thing. At Photo384 says, congratulations on getting a camera that will inspire you to want to go out and shoot. There is something very magical about a Leica that is hard to explain. I certainly adore my MP, not that it makes me a better photographer, but it makes taking pictures so much fun. And that is true. There is just something indefinable about this camera that makes me want to use it all the time. I've been pretty much exclusively using this for my photography the last couple weeks, and typically I would kind of do some film, some digital. And obviously I will be taking digital photos again. And for the first few weeks, I want to just get really familiar with this camera, but I just want to use it. I just want to have it around my neck. I want to feel it. There's just something about it. I don't know. At Thomas Sarver says, congratulations on your new M4. I had an M3 that was a tank, but I traded it for an M10R. Missed the feel of the M film camera, and after all my research, I decided on the M4P because it has 28mm frame lines. Like you, mine is almost in mint condition. Only had mine for a week now and just love the feel. Just developed my first roll from the camera. Congratulations. Yeah, I looked at the M4P as well. The 28mm frame lines is definitely something that would appeal to me because I would like to shoot 28mm sometimes. I've heard that since, you know, this is a 0.72 magnification viewfinder in this camera, just like the M4P and the M6, and those have 28mm frame lines, but apparently they're just like on the very edge of the viewfinder. So I'm assuming I could shoot 28mm with this and just use the whole viewfinder and get pretty close with my framing. But we'll see. Okay, my camera stopped recording because I had hit 30 minutes. I'm gonna reread Richard Mayberry's comment just in case I hadn't actually, or in case it got cut off halfway. I have been using Leica cameras for some time, with a 3F and a 3G being my primary film cameras. A couple of years ago, I got a good deal on an M2, also recently CLA'd by YYE, and it's been great to use. It came with its original Elmer 50mm f2.8 lens, and I have adapted many of the screw mount lenses to work with it. While I still have my 3G, I sold the 3F recently to a fellow having a midlife crisis. The M2 goes out most often, and like your M4, is likely to remain with me till the end of my days. At 73 years old, that probably won't be that hard, especially since I still have my Minolta SRT 101 from when I was 18. Good luck with yours. Thank you, Richard. And yeah, the 3 series Leicas were the ones before the M series. So the M3 came out in 54 or 55, can't remember exactly. And the 3s were first launched maybe even into the 20s, and they were refined throughout the decades. But they had a separate viewfinder and then rangefinder. So you would focus in one window and then frame your shot in another. And it was the M series where they first combined those. So you'd have the viewfinder and the rangefinder in one window, so you can focus and frame in the same window. But yeah, thank you very much. And I'm assuming this is going to last. It's already lasted 55 years. It's going to last for the rest of my life, and it will probably outlive me, most likely outlive me. Beautiful stuff, beautiful camera. Thank you for all that feedback, gang. Please keep it coming in. It really helps make the show go. All right, but now, gang, it is time for Patreon shout-outs and updates. Remember, if you would like to support Stuff and Things on Patreon, there is a link in the description box below, and it is much appreciated. It is basically the best way that you can support the content that you like on Stuff and Things YouTube and Stuff and Things Patreon. And if you support Stuff and Things on Patreon, you will get exclusive access to pipe videos that cannot post on YouTube, and you will get all the YouTube videos early and ad-free. And it's kind of the only way I'm still able to do this after all these years. So thank you so much to all the people who support us on Patreon. Every week, we like to shout out those people, the people who support us at $25 or more a month. People like Jason Buckner, Arcturus, Ashes of the Phoenix, Jonathon Proctor, The Friendly Piper, GreatGrol, Glenn, Just Glenn, David Severin, Nicholas James, Kyle Whitmore, Mr. Gibson, and Chris Caughey. And of course, the Maniacs, the crazy people who support the channels at $100 a month. People like Bob Magee. And we'll never forget our dearly departed friend and Hall of Fame member, Peter Straub. So, if you are a supporter on Patreon, what can you look forward to exclusively on Patreon this week? Well, as I mentioned, we will have the GLP's Bankside First Impressions video coming up this week. That's on Monday. And then on Thursday, we will have from the archives, Dunhill Flake. Ooh, a classic. It's kind of the apotheosis of the Virginia Flake for me. It's either that or Full Virginia Flake by Gawith. But I love Dunhill Flake, and that was a review that I posted 10 years ago. It was, where was it? May 20th, 2015. So look forward to that. Look forward to all the good stuff coming up on Stuff and Things YouTube and Stuff and Things Patreon. But until next time, until we meet again, I've been your good friend Bradley Human. The audience has been Stuff and Things on a Sunday Stuff and Things. It's been a long one. I'll see you later.